Hey up, fellas. On screen right now is considered by many to be the bottom one character in For Honor. Um, it's not without good reason. This character, when they came out, were pretty stupid OP. And they have one of the most unpopular and unhealthy designs out of any character in the game's entire history. Um, and it's not like over. It's the one I'm playing. Yeah, welcome to the very sad thing known as Jormungandr, or you know, Jormungandr if you want to be really specific, but shut up. I'll just say Jorm. Some people say George. That's cool as well. His name is George now, or Jorm, whichever one you prefer. You know, when this man came out, I actually originally really liked him. Not even for the fact that he was broken or anything like that. Like, I just thought his like aesthetic was really cool. You know, this madman, and he's got all these like really like personality-filled emotes and stuff. He's just a mental guy, and I loved his hair. Like fucking hell, I want hair like this. It's great. I mean that and the fact that he just has downright beautiful unit spam. That I can never get over. So you know, I thought he looked really cool, and the whole idea of like, oh yeah, no, like he has Thor's hammer, he has Mjotlinir, and he has you know, all this like electric stuff that you can put on him, and he's, you know, he's like a disciple of Yom, he's bringing Ragnarok and all of that. It's really cool. But you know, I wasn't alone in thinking he's a bit strong, because he got a lot of nerfs, to say the least. Not only did he get a lot of nerfs, but he basically got murdered as a character. A lot of his moves got nerfed to the point where they basically aren't real anymore, and no longer serve a purpose. And with the CCU, it was the final nail in the coffin, and ever since, people have been basically saying that this character is dysfunctional and useless. At least in Duel. In Fours, he's still a force. Not a reasonably big one, but he you know, he plays the game in Fours at least, and his feats help him quite a lot with that. Predominantly, he's a stalling character, or whatever the fuck that means. I don't fucking play Fours, I don't know. But in Duel is what I'm going to be mentioning here. This is what this video is going to be about, so yeah. And in Duel, he is remarkably unpopular. Not only unpopular, but also very easy to deal with, unless the opponent is on the ball, to say the least. Not to say that this character is completely dog shit. There are a few things here or there that are really cool, but really there's a lot of reasons why people say that this character is not very strong. So I'm gonna start off with punishment. First of all, I've just remembered I'm not restarting that fucking intro, but I need to set this to block after first attack. There we go. To do the punishment. So off of a light parry, he gets a top heavy, which is 27 damage. His punishment resembles Gandhi, so 27 from the top. GB is 24. Wall splat is available as well. If I bring you to the wall. Oh wait, yeah. We'll get to that move later. Hang on. So there is also a wall splat. A wall splat for the top heavy. And the heavy parry is very interesting. You get this special parry, which does 14 damage, and some stamina damage. As you can see, stamina damage, stamina pause. The issue with this is there's no chains afterwards, at all. There's no mashing it, there's no nothing. There's no DRCs or anything like that. It's just flat 14 damage. So that's not very good. But whereas, you know, that's not very good. He does technically have, you know, he doesn't have to do that. He can, where the fuck is it? Is it, hang on. Bruh, block off the first attack. Gee, I can't read. So he doesn't have to go into that bash. He can just do a normal light, but this does 2 less damage. He can also go into zone if he wants to, but that takes almost half of his stamina, and you'll get and that's for 1 extra damage. So there's no real point. But this way he can get access to his chains, which is the only way he has any viable moves that do anything. So that's his punishment. It's lackluster. It's actually somehow worse than Tiandi's, and Tiandi's punishment is pretty bad. You know, he gets his 27 from a top heavy. It's pretty nice. But it's just not enough at all. His heavy parry punishment is very lackluster, even with the stamina damage and the stamp pause, which are arguably very nice. 14 damage isn't that much, and because there's no chains after, it's really sucky. There is also the option from that bash to do his finishes, do these unblockables, instead of doing the untouchable light. So no guaranteed damage, but you know, swap it out for this blockable, which could potentially do 29 by itself, which is quite a bit. Or, you know, a GB to 24, depending on what mix you do. The thing is, this isn't a guaranteed mix, and the opponent can light you out of it, because the unblockable has no armor, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So I'm going to mention everything first that's good with the character, every pro, and then I'll go over every con, and there are a lot of them. So I think this is in order, because this character does actually have something really cool in a very high damage out of stamina punish, 29. No, I'm joking. This character does have a very strong out of stamina punish. The thing is, I don't know how the fuck you do it. It's something like that, but the opponent has to fly away, and you get CBT, aptly named. I don't know how you meant to do this, but basically what happens is you hit the opponent with this, and that's like completely guaranteed if you manage to get a guard break. I don't know how it's done. It's some shit like that, and that's like guaranteed damage, and that's a lot of damage. That's 67 out of stamina, which is super nice. You are, you know, you are minus on hit, and it does give all the stamina back to the opponent, but that's a decent payout at the very least. That's something. It's not bad. As well as this punish, he has a plethora of ways to get it. He doesn't have to immediately cash this out, and he has quite a lot of pressure if the opponent's out of stamina. If the opponent can't do anything, turns out he's actually quite good at pressuring the opponent. Things like normal fades to that bash, normal fades into lights, into these like chain bashes, you know, normal fades to GB, normal fades to his bash, and he has a lot of bash and dodgeable mixes, unblockables and stuff like that. And there's a lot of opportunities for this character to actually knock you down while you're out of stamina. He's good. He has really strong out of stamina pressure, which, you know, fair enough. Another thing that he's actually okay at, even when the opponent has their stamina, is he can control the pace of the match quite well. Because of his design of being a stamina bully, you know, every time you hit the opponent with one of these, their stamina regen pauses. And versus some characters, he can actually slow them down to his pace. You know, he can make them shut up for a bit and stop attacking him, which is very nice because his defensive options suck absolute dick. But you know, every time he gets a parry, the opponent can't really do anything. Depends on their stamina costs. I like to think that Tiandi, you know, has quite high stamina costs for what he does. So Tiandi versus Jorm, it's one of his better matchups. And you know, he can get some stuff done. So pace control, that's one thing. His unblockables are okay. This does 30 damage. That's not bad. It has no tracking and no range and no armor, but it does 30 damage. Sure. And you know, if that's pain GB, you get 24, and the situation resets. Very nice. But obviously, this is a mid-chain unblockable. This is a pretty standard move, but he does have unblockables, which is nice. Wall splats are possible with his unblockables. He uses chain heavies from the side. You get that, which is super nice, and that's 56 damage. So, you know, really good reward for pulling them to the wall. And because of this, the opponent is going to basically always try and parry that unblockable because it's so much damage. So you know, that's where you go into just feign. And that's 27, which is more than your normal Gabrick anyway, and some stamina damage, why not? And the final good thing, yes, I'm already running out of things, is the frame advantage in the open with these heavies is immense. Look at how long it takes for the opponent to start. There's a lot of frame advantage. So much so, in fact, that it becomes armoured before lights can hit you. So, yeah, he can enforce some pretty good fucking, like, Okizeme, basically, off of any time he hits these finisher heavies. There's also on the top one. Look at the frame disadvantage there. Yeah, the frame data on this character is really weird. For some reason, his top heavies have no fucking hit stun, but his side ones have loads. I understand that's because of the wall splat thing, but it just feels like a bug more than anything. It's really strange. So that's it. That's everything that's good about the character. He has damage sometimes, he has some stamina pressure, and if the opponent is actually out of stamina, like if you manage to get them to that point, sure, he has a kit, but this brings me to the first problem with this character, his game plan. I've been mentioning stamina a lot. That's because a lot of what this character does is reduce the opponent's stamina bar. But I'm just going to do some moves, and I want you to watch both of our stamina bars. We both run out of stamina at the same time. Yeah, so that's not very good. His stamina damage, the key part of his kit he's meant to have that's good, excuse me, is shit. It doesn't do anything, and he runs out of stamina basically as fast as the opponent does. That whole stamina pulse thing, yeah, cool, but like, you can't do anything from it. Not only that, not even just the numbers being bad, but the idea of a character that's a stamina bully is really, really badly outdated. Pre-CCU, when this character came out, people took stamina damage for being parried, people took stamina damage for being blocked, people had to use a lot more stamina to even throw a heavy, to throw a light, anything. So stamina was a much more valuable resource. But nowadays, every character is basically just a mash fest, and you basically just press buttons. There's no risk versus this character. Even if you're out of stamina, cool. If the Yorm knows what he's doing and he knows the full punish, sick. You take 67 damage and you just get to mash again. You still have your entire stamina bar to try and kill him, and then when you run out, he has to hit 67 damage multiple times in order to kill you. It's really outdated, and it's really, 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 really bad. Not only that, but it's also extremely unfun for the opponent. If it is strong, which it was when it first came out, he basically bashed you 3 times and you are out of stamina. Or if he parried you once, if he parried your heavy and he did his special riposte thing where he punches you, that I showed, that does 14 damage, you basically lost 90% of your stamina bar, so you couldn't do anything. So you couldn't let heavies fly versus this character, because you would parry them and you would just lose all your stamina. Not only that, but everyone did higher damage, including Yorm back in the day. The CBT move now does, what, 38 damage? Yeah, 38 damage. It used to do 50. 50! And his unblockables from the side used to do something like 35. So you lost a good, like, 3/4 of your life bar simply because you ran out of stamina. And that was not hard to achieve. So back in the day, he used to be genuinely really broken. And when he was broken, he was quite possibly the most unfun character released. I even have a really popular 3-part video series, which is awful and outdated and shit, don't watch them, on how to counter Yorm, and that blew up immediately because I was the first one really talking about the character. People didn't like them, to say the least. I even said in it that I don't personally find them super annoying, but I completely understand where people come from with the character being fucking annoying as shit. I just thought at the time that BP was worse. That's the only reason I could really stand this man. But that's just the game plan, right? So you're already playing at a disadvantage because what this character is designed to do, he can't do well, and what he's designed to do doesn't function in the modern day of the game. So basically, Jorm isn't really playing For Honor. Similar to how pre-rework Shinobi wasn't really playing For Honor, he was playing some weird other game. No, Jorm doesn't really play For Honor either. He's pretty much the last one who doesn't. So I just... okay, so during the nerfing process, this is what they did to the character, basically. They just took all of the frame advantage away from every move that he could possibly have, except for his finisher heavies. So, in the CCU, those are now minus on hit. Block or hit, these are super minus. And this character has no dodge attack to threaten with, so, yeah, no, being minus on hit is a pretty big deal. But the killer one, the one that I think genuinely, if they ever just want to buff the character and not rework them, this is minus on hit, and this is a big hit, because after this, you get this mini 50-50 of undodgeable bash. The bash does some stamina damage, and the light doesn't do any stamina damage and just does some damage. So it's a really tiny mix, with no chains afterwards, and both options are minus, with basically no reward. These chain lines are very low reward, and as you can see, no tracking. 14 damage, that's all you get for the undodgeable, and the bash does 0. Just 0. No wall splat, no nothing. Just 0 damage. Just some stamina damage. From that fake objective that you can never reach. So, terrible. Absolutely fucking awful. Every time he hits the opponent with anything that isn't a heavy, he's at massive frame disadvantage. And when he's at massive frame disadvantage, he doesn't like playing the game. I'll get to his lack of defensive tools soon, but this is not a minor detail. He has, from his light, the only plus on hit option is this, and that gets real predictable real fast, weirdly enough. So, yeah, no, terrible. Absolutely awful. As well as his neutral bash, that's the only thing he can really do, unless, you know, he gets no damage. This bash does no damage, that's all, no guaranteed damage whatsoever. It's awful, but yeah. So, if the opponent has stamina, which is, weirdly enough, 100% of the time, Jorm has no kit anymore. He loses access to basically all of the pressure that he has while he runs out of stamina. You know, all these unblockables and stuff are so much less scary, especially seeing so that you're not always face fucking a wall 24/7. If you're in the open, these walls are nowhere near as scary. The frame advantage, sure, but like, that's it. It's 29 damage and you just go on with your day. It's really not that bad. It's not that deep, bro. So in the open, if the opponent has stamina, your reward is super low. Not only is your reward super low, but your stamina cost is relatively high for fainting things. For some reason, there's a lot more fainting it is just a fucking nightmare for stamina costs. I don't know why. And you know, you're always just working towards a goal of trying to get your opponent out of stamina. And during all of this, they can just walk backwards, and none of your offense works anymore, basically. If you just walk backwards, back dodge a lot, sometimes back roll if you have the resources for it. But, you know, if you back roll, back dodge, back walk, do anything backwards, Jorm just loses access to everything. This bash doesn't have the best range in the world. It does have some range, but it comes from a back walk like Tianti's bash, so it can whiff quite often. And not only that, it's not a chain bash. This is his chain bash, which also has completely fucking paper-thin, linear hitbox. It's just this really awful line in front of them. If Shigoki takes the slightest mistimed step to the left, it whiffs completely. It's not useful for whiff tech because this thing on recovery is fucking useless. So yeah, no, absolutely not very good. So again, dysfunctional game plan. And another thing to add to the dysfunctional game plan is just the opponent just walks backwards. All of the moves that, you know, help that game plan that doesn't work, yeah, the opponent just doesn't have to take any of it, and they just back dodge it. Every 50-50 that's like this, not 50-50, the opponent can just light you out, basically. It's terrible. This character's neutral is useless. This is the only good move, like, at all, and it costs half your fucking stamina, does no damage, and I've covered everything about the move, basically. It's fast, good range, good tracking both sides, no damage, no reward, high cost, that's it. But low risk, and again, it's nice. It's the only pseudo-dodgeable in his neutral kit, so for neutral, this is his best move, which is pretty bad, considering that this is seeable if the opponent is awake. And again, you get your heavy parry punish, but look at the amount of stamina you can work with, and your minus with no dodge attack. Yep, this character has no dodge attack at all. So BP Bash, throw it all day. Shigoki Bash, throw it all day. Any character with a bash that isn't GB punishable, just throw it out. There's nothing this character can do. Similar to Warlord, but Warlord has more of a kit than this guy, and that's saying something. Yeah, no, there's really nothing else to say. This character literally has no dodge attack at all, you know. Not only does he have no dodge attack, he has no damaging bash whatsoever. Outside of his heavy parry punish, which isn't a bash, really. Kind of is, but I mean, you can't use it except for if you parry something, so I wouldn't personally count that as a bash, functionally. That's just a riposte move, I would say. But every bash in his kit is, well, every bash, I say, these two bashes, they are both 0 damage. Neither of them do any guaranteed damage whatsoever, and one of them is mine. No chain extensions. Very cool. No, there's also a complete lack of DRCs with this character, if you couldn't tell already by no dodge attack. There's no DRCs, there's no safety, there's no nothing. This character just, once you end, and it's the opponent's turn now. No say in the matter whatsoever. Absolutely awful. As well as having no damaging bash, he has no opener whatsoever. You know, again, let's reference the Lawbringer players. I have no opener, the character's useless. Bruh, Jorm has less than no opener. This character has like an actually dysfunctional move as his bash. So, yeah, no. And does he have anything else other than a bash? He has 13 damage seeable, half stamina, fucking pants move that maybe gives him a mix-up. And he's out of stamina now, he can't do anything. Cool. It's really bad. This is actually a minor detail. Everything I've said up until this point has been game-changingly awful. But these lights, can we just talk about these for a second? These lights are so limited, it's unbelievable. Again, like, this bash is pretty bad. You know how pretty much every character does a swing for their lights? You know, Tiandi has that like slice thing they do from the side. Jorm's side lights, punches with the hammer, and it's very literal in its hitbox. It genuinely just doesn't hit people if they dodge, ever. Not if they dodge late, early, nothing. Absolutely nothing. His heavy is pretty good, but his lights are useless. Look at this. So yeah, no. No lateral tracking whatsoever on his lights, which is very annoying. Again, you have to rely on this, the opponent is dodging in neutral. Very annoying. Or, again, the universal option of GB, which, for some reason, for Jorm, just seems to never connect. I don't know why. Maybe it's just a really misleading animation. He flings his hammer up, but yeah. I mean, in my notes it says no functioning goal. I think I have ragged on enough about this character's kit being dysfunctional and useless against characters. Sorry, not against characters, against people who understand. Just cut your offense a little bit short, and then all of a sudden you've completely countered the character entirely, and there's almost no moves he has. I don't want to rag on any more about that, because I think you understand the point. This character doesn't function properly. We get it. But the next one I have is roll catching. His roll catch, his Nature's Wrath, is this. It has armor. Technically, it's as it hits. It does 26 damage. It is feintable, but you get no armor for this. It's slow as piss, so no tracking. what do you want me to say? It's just awful. It's really, really, really not good. It's better than Tiandi's, but that's not saying very fucking much, is it? You know, like, this, it has chain options as well. Yeah, cool. Or, if you want to be really cool, whoa, you're minus on hit now and you've done nothing. Hold on. Like, sure, 26 damage, that's nice, but you never roll catching anyone. And, you know, doing like this, the opponent can fucking parry that if they roll back from the unblockable, so there's no point. Really, it's too slow to catch anything. And really, overall, this character just lacks offense in general. Again, everything's frame disadvantage, so there's no offense past things. You just end your turn, there's no momentum. You can never build momentum unless you always go for these really big mixes, which again the opponent can just option select by rolling away. And they don't have to take shit. Then his damage is super low unless you use this one block. Essentially, he's just a one-trick in neutral. The only offense he realistically has are his unblockables. But his unblockables is like, I could play almost any other character with an unblockable in their kit and get more value out of it. Plus I'd have an objective to work towards that's a lot easier to obtain than get the opponent out of stamina with a kit that doesn't work. I've reached the end of my notes, but there's always this one move that I always keep forgetting exists. I showed it off earlier, but it's this fabric thing. We end on the same stamina. There's no reason to ever do this extension other than to remind opponents that it exists, I guess. That's about it. So yeah, welcome to what bottom one to a lot of people looks like in this game. This is Jorm. Oh my fucking god. So Tiandi is a bad character, right? Fair enough. This character is worse, and he has an unblockable in his kit, and that's just the truly sad thing. Really, he has no offense at all, no moveset, basically, and his entire objective, his entire purpose in life is to be something that just doesn't exist. He's trying to be a floggle snoggle, and that's not a real word. He's just... when people say this character needs a rework the most, there is reason behind this. It's not just because he's the weakest character in the game to a lot of people. It's also because he's dysfunctional, and there's no way to buff him in order for him to be usable and fun for opponents. Right now, he's not fun for opponents, but at least he's not stomping everybody, and that's better. When he came out, brain dead, broken, doesn't even begin to describe it. Super frustrating, and super annoying. But, really, there's not even much to add. He is abysmal. The definition of a bottom tier. And I don't even personally think he's the worst character in the game. I actually think it's Valkyrie. But I don't know enough about Valkyrie to make a video on them, so if you happen to main Valkyrie or could give me insight into potentially some tech that she does at a higher level, please do tell me. The most I know is 2 lights sweep. That's like it. I genuinely know nothing about the character whatsoever. Actually, no, I do know that you can technically get a free guard break from blocking something from her all guard, but the timing is super weird. I do know that that's a thing, but that's like it. That's like the only tech I know. I know nothing else. I do know the history of it though. So yeah, if you happen to main Val, please do leave comments and tell me what the fuck she does at a high level. No offense, but I don't want to hear from people fucking saying she just light spams. I get it, yes. She has a 3-light chain, the last one stuns and wall splats and all that. It's annoying, yes. But, like, what does she do at high level? I don't fucking know. And maybe because I don't know, she's, to me, the worst character in the game. This character is second place, but don't make any mistake, both of them are fucking useless. That's really all I have to say. This one's a lot shorter than the Tiandi one, because this character is a lot less complicated, and the reasons are a lot more, well, obvious for why this character is just absolutely terrible. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and ta-ra!